A special election in conservative Tennessee has rattled the Republican Party, sending shockwaves through a state long considered a GOP stronghold. The surprise wasn't a loss, but just how close the race became. Republicans barely managed to hold on to a seat they once considered untouchable. Matt Van Epps, the Republican candidate, scraped by with a 9-point win. That's a dramatic drop from Trump's 22-point landslide in the same district just a year earlier, and it's left party insiders deeply unsettled. This isn't just a statistical blip. It's a warning sign that the GOP's grip is slipping when Trump isn't on the ballot. The margin is too narrow for comfort, and it's forcing Republicans to confront some uncomfortable truths. High turnout made the result even more alarming for Republicans. Voters didn't stay home, they simply voted differently. The electorate was energized, but not in the way the GOP had hoped. Now, strategists are asking tough questions. Was the GOP's recent dominance really about the party's message, or was it just about Trump's personal appeal? The data suggests the latter, and that's a sobering realization for party leaders. The evidence points to the latter, and that's a problem for Republicans looking to the future. If the party's strength is tied so closely to one man, what happens when he's not on the ticket? If their strength depends on one man, their prospects are shaky. The party's identity crisis is becoming harder to ignore, and the search for a unifying message is growing more urgent. Congressman Tim Burchett called it a wake-up call, forcing the party to confront whether its message resonates on its own. He warned that relying on past formulas may no longer be enough to guarantee victory, even in deep red districts. For Democrats, it's a glimmer of hope. Even in deep red territory, there's room to compete. The close result has energized their base and given them a blueprint for future campaigns in places once written off as unwinnable. The Tennessee election wasn't just about one seat. It was a test of the post-Trump political landscape. Both parties are now recalibrating, trying to understand what voters are really looking for in this new era. The GOP now faces tough questions about its identity and strategy. Can it broaden its appeal, or will it double down on the Trump playbook? The answers could shape the party's future for years to come. The margin of victory is a signal. The political ground is shifting beneath both parties' feet. What was once predictable is now uncertain, and every election could bring new surprises. Both parties are watching closely, knowing this could be the start of a new era, one where old assumptions no longer hold and every vote truly counts. For nearly a decade, Donald Trump's influence has powered the GOP, shaping its message, its priorities, and its public image. His rallies drew massive crowds, his endorsements could make or break candidates, and his presence energized a base that felt overlooked by traditional politics. Trump's brand of politics became the party's brand, for better or worse. But the recent Tennessee election exposed a critical vulnerability. Without Trump himself on the ballot, the party's energy and turnout faltered. The GOP, so accustomed to riding the Trump wave, suddenly found itself adrift, struggling to motivate voters who once turned out in droves. With Trump absent, Republican enthusiasm dropped sharply, and so did their margins of victory. The crowds thinned, the excitement faded, and the party's dominance in reliably red areas was no longer a given. Recent Gallup polls show Trump's approval at just 36%, a significant decline from his peak. Not only is Republican support slipping, but independents, once open to his message, are turning away in growing numbers. The data paints a sobering picture for party strategists. The party's identity is now so tightly bound to Trump that his declining popularity threatens their future. Many Republican leaders are left wondering if they've built a movement or just a moment. Republicans face a dilemma: how to build a brand that stands on its own, one that can inspire voters and win elections even when Trump isn't on the ticket. The search for a new message is urgent. The Tennessee result is a clear sign that the party hasn't done this work yet. The loss sent shockwaves through GOP circles, raising tough questions about the party's direction and its ability to adapt. The so-called Trump effect won elections, but it also stunted the party's growth. By focusing so much on one figure, the GOP neglected to cultivate new leaders and fresh ideas. Now, as the 2026 midterms approach, Republicans must prove they offer more than just loyalty to one leader. They need to reconnect with voters on issues that matter and show they can govern for the future, not just the past. Without a broader, sustainable message, their path to power narrows with each election. The risk of irrelevance grows if they fail to evolve. The GOP is learning, sometimes painfully, that what once lifted them up can just as easily drag them down. The stakes have never been higher. The challenge is clear. Define what it means to be Republican beyond Trump. The clock is ticking, and the future of the party hangs in the balance. Tennessee's close race has exposed deep rifts within the GOP. Lawmakers are voicing frustration over the party's lack of a clear agenda, especially on economic issues. Even Trump loyalists like Jeff Van Drew are urging a focus on cost-of-living concerns. The disconnect between party leadership and voters' everyday struggles is growing. Gallup polls show Trump's lowest approval ratings on the economy and budget, traditional GOP strengths. Voters no longer trust Republicans to manage finances or make life more affordable. The party's internal strife and absence of a coherent plan are leaving a vacuum. If Republicans can't unite around real solutions, they risk losing their way and their voters. The struggle now is about redefining what it means to be Republican in a post-Trump era. The GOP's biggest challenge? No clear plan for the economy. Voters are anxious about rising costs, but party leaders seem distracted by other battles. Even Trump's allies are urging a focus on kitchen table issues, not just foreign policy or regulatory fights. The party has yet to present real solutions for inflation, healthcare, or jobs. Relying on anti-Democrat anger isn't enough. Tennessee proved that. With midterms looming, Republicans need a positive vision, not just opposition. The clock is ticking for the GOP to show voters they can lead on the issues that matter most. A healthcare crisis is about to hit, one that could reshape the lives of millions of Americans and upend the political landscape. For families already struggling to pay their medical bills, the coming storm feels all too real. At the end of 2025, crucial ACA subsidies are set to expire, threatening to spike premiums for millions of people who rely on affordable coverage. Without these subsidies, health insurance could suddenly become unaffordable for working families, seniors, and young adults alike. Despite years of criticizing the Affordable Care Act, the GOP has no clear plan to prevent this looming disaster. Their promises to replace or improve the ACA have yet to materialize into real solutions. If costs soar, Republicans will face a wave of anger from voters who feel abandoned. Town halls and protests could become battlegrounds as Americans demand answers and accountability. Even some Republicans like Senator Josh Hawley are breaking ranks and urging party leaders to negotiate a fix before it's too late. The pressure is mounting from within. The party is caught in a bind, torn between their long-standing opposition to the ACA and the reality that inaction will hurt their own voters, many of whom depend on these subsidies to make ends meet. This looming crisis exposes the GOP's lack of a proactive healthcare agenda. Instead of leading, they're scrambling to respond, leaving strategists and lawmakers anxious about the fallout. Meanwhile, Democrats are ready to seize the moment, turning the crisis into a powerful campaign weapon. They're already rallying supporters and sharpening their message. Their message is simple and direct. Republicans raised your healthcare costs. It's a line that could stick with voters as they feel the pinch in their wallets. The stakes are enormous. Failure to act could define the 2026 elections, shifting control of Congress and shaping the future of American healthcare for years to come. The GOP's reactive stance is a glaring vulnerability, one that political analysts say could cost them dearly at the polls. For voters, healthcare isn't just a policy debate, it's personal. They remember who stood by as their costs rose and who fought to protect their coverage. The GOP faces a stark choice: act now to protect Americans' healthcare, or pay the price at the polls when voters have their say. As Republicans flounder, Democrats are energized. The Tennessee result, though not a win, signals momentum. Democrats are outperforming expectations in special elections. If this trend holds, they could flip the House in 2026. Democrats are uniting around a message of competence versus GOP chaos, focusing on real-world issues like healthcare and the economy. The looming ACA crisis gives them a concrete example to contrast with Republican inaction. After a tough 2024, Democrats now see a path back to power. Their strategy highlights GOP disarray and offer practical solutions. The fight for 2026 has begun, and Democrats feel the wind at their backs. Opportunity is knocking, and they're ready to answer. Beyond party battles, Americans are fed up with Washington. Congressional approval is at a dismal 14%, with 80% disapproving, anger that cuts across party lines. Even Republican voters are turning on their own party's Congress, frustrated by gridlock and broken promises. This widespread discontent creates a volatile political climate. Voters are open to dramatic change, fueling both Democratic momentum and support for anti-establishment outsiders. The anger isn't just at one party, it's at the whole system. Both parties face a challenge: deliver real results or risk losing trust entirely. For Republicans, it's a clear rejection of their performance since taking control. For Democrats, it's a chance, but also a warning. If they regain power, expectations will be sky high. The public's patience is running out. The message is clear: stop fighting, start solving. The party that listens will earn the people's trust. The stakes for 2026 couldn't be higher. Democrats are debating their path forward after Tennessee. Should they run bold progressives or moderates in swing districts? Some argue a strong progressive message excites voters, even in tough areas. Others say winning means appealing to the middle and recruiting candidates who fit local politics. The party is split: energize the base or broaden appeal. This debate will shape their 2026 strategy and could decide if they win back the House. The choices they make now will define their future. As 2025 ends, both parties face an uncertain future. The GOP must move beyond Trump and offer real solutions, or risk shrinking support. Democrats have momentum, but internal divisions could hold them back. The 2026 midterms will test whether either party can unite and deliver for voters. Americans want change and effective government, not more gridlock. If both parties fail, the door opens for something new. The next months will decide if the old order adapts, or if politics enters uncharted territory. The future is unwritten, and the stakes have never been higher.